Yes, just tipping, yeah, running up the scene. Power in my hand, yeah, hustling supreme. Checks and balances, stacking up the green. Cash flow heavy, yeah, American dream. Scales just tipping, yeah, running up the scene. Power in my hand, yeah, hustling supreme. With the vision, yeah, blueprint's mine. Counting every dollar, turning nickels into dime. Trap game, senator, vetoing lanes. Legend in the making, put respect on my name. Hustle in my veins, got the streets on lock. Wrist stay dripping like a clock, tick tock. I'm trying to balance, but they tripping like a scale. Cashing all these checks while I'm getting all this mail. Racks in the safe, yeah, racks in the safe. State of all, stay full. State of all, stay full. Pockets overweight, we don't play by the rules. Set of pockets overweight, we don't play by the rules. See the feds wanna audit, but the books stay clean. I'm a ghost in the trap, I'm the one you ain't seen. Whip it so fast and I leave you in the dust. Gold in my chain and you know I got a tux. Trapping all day, you know the grind don't stop. Making all these plays, gotta make it to the top. Diamonds in my grill, yeah, gleam, no flaws. Justice in my hustle, yeah, above the law. Money talks loud, I don't hear no hate. Balance out the game, yeah, serve your own plate. Enemies plotting, I'm 10 steps ahead. Counting all this money while laying in the bed. Hold up, wait up, odds, yeah, let the scales decide. It's profit over pride, gotta keep this wave alive. Risk it for the game, that's the only side. Checks is in my favor, see this power never divide. Checks and bouncing, stacking up the green. Cash flow heavy, yeah, American dreams. Scales just tipping, yeah, running up the scene. Power in my hand, yeah, hustling supreme. Checks and bouncing, stacking up the green. Cash flow heavy, yeah, American dreams. Scales just tipping, yeah, running up the scene. Power in my hand, yeah, hustling supreme. Yeah, shadows in the track where the grim reaper creep. Blood on the ledge, yeah, secret very deep. Cold still flash, yeah, hear them scream. Nightmare field, yeah, running up a scheme. No soda cell, got a debt unpaid. Graveyard shit, take it to the grave. Scales dripping red, balance in the scene. Checks cashing out for them dead present chains. Chains on my wrist like the devil got a grip.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Air, mask in the stench. Traps in the dungeon, then you know I got a hit. Voices in the hall, yeah, counting every loss. Scales on the tip, yeah, carrying the the game, leading boys in rush.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Brother Rick. Nice to see you. Sweet pea.
Make the White House black, count the money in the dark. Whipping this work, big stains, no spark. Checks at the trap, but the block stay grim. Scales tipping every got justice again.
All right, we're looking good. No, so far, no violations so far. So we're doing good.
And as you can see, I got a lot of it, and I'm not sharing.
Hi, David. Nice seeing you.
It's me, Big Zeus, doing what I want to do. Checks and bouncing, stacking up the green. Cash flow heavy, yeah, American dreams. Scales just tipping, yeah, running up the scene. Power in my hand, yeah, hustling supreme.
All right, let's get this show started because we got to get out of here. Same time as yesterday. We're pivoting to a new schedule. So Thursday and Fridays, those are going to be a little bit on the shorter side unless I decide to change it up again. But for now, it'll be that. Let's get this show started. We don't got all day. I'm still going to deliver the truth at the level that I know I can deliver, and it's supposed to be that way. So don't worry about that. All right? Let's go! What's up, Ralph? Nice to see you, Casey. Good morning. I'm like the Terminator screaming, I'll be back. They don't like me. Every week I gotta take out the trash. I'm on top of my game, ahead of the class. You can tell that I made it, look at my grass. Let's go, happy Friday. What's up, Swervin'? Nice to see ya. W Jazzy, hey, I got all these numbers on my spreadsheet. Woo. Hey, what? They don't get replies if they text me. Don't do it. Hey, VIP. Here it goes. Zeus haters right here. Here they go. Oh, here they go.
Gone into Zeus's live and yes. Shit was radical. It was horrible. I'm like, Zeus has gone way off the rails.
It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu. It's like deja vu.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Welcome back in the Thunderdome. I am your host. I am your pilot, and once again, while we are all gathered here this lovely morning, happy Friday. Hi, Zena. Nice to see ya. Hi, Rick. Now, for those of you who are watching this video on YouTube, you know the routine. Make sure you like and you share this video out, all right? Because that's how I got to build the platform up on YouTube, all right? But I'm recording the show on TikTok, all right? And I might change it up a little bit after that, too, because a lot of people are asking me, Zeus, how do I find you and stuff like that? And it's time to go ahead and start expanding, all right? So we're going to work on that together. Actually, all of you, if you find it on YouTube, just share it, repost it, all right? Because I don't want Trump supporters just screenshotting bits and pieces of what goes on here to try to get a gotcha moment and ignore everything else that I've been doing. So let's get back to the main issue, all right? So for those of you who don't know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H? It's quite simple. It's because I'm the most honest person on social media. I am. All right. I'll say things sometimes and it'll hurt you. It'll rock you. It'll knock you out. But I have to say it, okay, because I got to get the truth out there. All right. So that's the first H. The second H is because I am humble. Listen, I also understand that sometimes you might say things and they're not accurate and it's not correct. If that is the case, I have no problem apologizing. All right. Because I don't, unlike you, think apologizing is a sign of weakness. I actually think it is a sign of strength, and we need more people in the country to do it, all right, especially when they've been caught and they're lying. I don't like to do all the Democrat stuff, the Democrat shuffle and blaming Joe Biden and stuff. No, I'll own it, all right, because I understand that's what makes me great and you not so great, all right? And then the last and the final H, and I get into it a lot with people on my side, you know, Nutty Professor, and there's others like him in the comment section, perhaps like Eugene, but they're lying. I'm not. I am and will always remain, you've guessed it, the most handsome! Right, yeah. All right. Now, many of you are very, very familiar with this kind of broadcasting. It's unique, it's special, it's diabolical, it's magical, it's sensational, but it's an adult level conversation, all right? Most of my audience in here is 35 and up, all right? But there might be people in here listening that aren't that age, but you know what? They can get something out of these conversations. What we're doing is we're holding Donald Trump and his legion of MAGA demons who are hell-bent on trying to destroy this country. What we're doing is we're holding them accountable. And I've been doing this for well over 3 or 4 years, right? Swervin, you've been here. Jess, you've been here. Heaven, you've been here. And what that means is there's going to be times where the conversation or the narrative goes into an area that maybe makes you uncomfortable. And for instance, as of late, the narrative has been what? White America, right? And I didn't create the narrative. I just have to get out here and speak on it. But if people really knew me, they would understand. I love a lot of white people, all right? I don't believe all white folks are bad. That's why a lot of my friends on this app, they are some of the best people and they're white. So when people go out here and they say, Zeus, you spread rhetoric and it's aimed at white folks, I think I need to clear that up because that's never been my intent. My intent is to make sure you are all keeping up with what's happening in the country right now, right? And so one of the things that I've noticed over the past few months is we've gone a long way. You remember the situation in, I believe it was Charlotte, and it was a black guy who unalived the white woman from Ukraine. I can't pronounce her name, but at that time, it was about a black man, right? And we had to go ahead and say, hey, he's a criminal. We need to have him experience the full weight of the law. And I have no problem doing that, right? And then prior to that, you know what I was hearing on this app, especially from those on the right, it was a lot of conversations about crimes in inner cities. And we had to address that. We have had serious conversations about inner city crime, and in particular with MAGA. But it's always, and this is what I say to folks, God has a good way of humbling even the mightiest of us. Because as we were bouncing from one crisis to another, and it was all about people of color, then it circled to where it's at now. That involved what happened to CK. I'm not going to mention his name because I actually carry myself in a way where I don't think it's necessary to bash somebody that can't defend themselves. But that was a situation that highlights there's also problems going on and I played the song White America, right? And so everyone has to deal with this because we're all in this country and these are issues that really do need to be addressed. And if you can't handle those kind of conversations, then you know what you need to do? You need to leave this live and you need to go hang out with these fake TikTok hosts. All right. And I know exactly who they are. They don't ever come onto this platform and try to plant their flags and defend their positions. They wait until I go and venture off into red spaces, and then they want to levy a grievance against me based on something that they've heard me say. All right. Or they've heard one of the panelists say. And I need to say this just because, and let me repeat this. Because, and this is aimed at Jammin Lou in particular, and he could come in here and try to clear this up. But if somebody gets in my box, all right, and they say something, I will try my best to steer them in the right direction, all right, because I got to run a show. But by no stretch of the imagination does me allowing them to speak their mind translate into Big Zeus supporting them, all right? And I understand a lot of y'all got a lot of personal things going on, but it does not imply I support it, all right? So that's number one. And you wouldn't know that because you don't run a show like I do. W Zeus, that was easy. I've let a lot of folks on the right get in my box and say some of the craziest things I have. And my audience, especially my friends on the left, they'll be like, Zeus, drop him. I read it in the comments. Just because, for instance, DJ will get in my box. He will say some of the craziest stuff. Snuggles, Tiny Tank Top Tim, MAGA, they get in my box and they say some of the craziest things, but you never ever say, well, Zeus, you support MAGA Queen because you let him or her say whatever they say. So please, knock it off and grow up. And please, keep my name out of your mouths. W Zeus. And that goes to the next point that I need to make. If you're too immature to have these adult conversations, then just leave my live and you can go do whatever you were doing. I am fine without you, all right? I seriously am. I don't even think about you. But I know you don't want to listen to me, so how about this? Why don't you listen to your dear leader?
If you're not happy here, then you can leave.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now.
Yeah.
Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the doors to the Thunderdome have officially closed, all right? Grab your shields because sparks are going to start flying. I've been doing this for a while. But also, make sure you're actually listening for the kernel of truths that are being shared because everybody isn't as great a communicator as Big Zeus. I get it. And I understand, and I give a lot of people a lot of room because it takes a lot to get up here and speak what's on your mind and reveal what's really going on, all right? So I try to work with people, but if they start getting nasty, then I'll just drop them. But for the most part, grab your shields and buckle up, all right, W Zeus? It's Friday, for goodness sake. Now, what do I want to start the show off with today? Oh, I know. We got to do a round of Lake of Fire, and this is going to be for Donald Trump. And I'm going to throw Donald Trump in the Lake of Fire because this is worthy of it. It has to do with the tariffs. Now, everybody and their mama know who pays the tariffs right now, except MAGA, all right? They still are very, very confused. We also understand that a lot of the things that are going on in this country in terms of grocery prices, right, and inflation are tied to Donald Trump's and his tariffs, right? And we've also found out that farmers in the United States of America, American farmers, are suffering at the hands of Donald Trump. And what makes this even worse, what makes this even more of a violation in terms of if I found out a farmer voted for Donald Trump, I'd just say, you know what, you reap what you sow. And that comes right out of the good book. Now, if you didn't vote for him, then I have a lot more compassion for you. All right, so yesterday during Donald Trump's press conference, all right, you know, he was talking to the president of Turkey. You know, he let something slip out of his mouth, and it had nothing to do with farmers, but he turned it into that, all right? And it had to do with the tariffs, all right? And I heard him say this, and this is on The Verge. The reporter asked him, what are you going to do about the government shutdown that's coming? He turned that question into a situation that involves farmers and the tariffs. And so this is why I'm going to send them straight to hell. Buckle up.
When the government shuts down, why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time?
Well, this is
So why is the administration threatening federal workers to be laid off if the Democrats don't meet and sign off on the budget that they're trying to cram through the Senate, right? Listen to his answer.
by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegals, illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that.
No.
Big thing. They want to open borders again. After what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers,
And let me just say this. It should go without saying. Everybody knows that what he is saying is a lie, right? We all understand that he's lying. Democrats don't want any of these things that he's saying, all right? We all want secure borders, all right? But we're not down with this inhumane business that Donald Trump has going on. Look, I saw this yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. I saw this. Does anybody out there think this is an acceptable way? Catch somebody coming out of the courtroom. You know, you go to court because you're trying to do the right thing. You're trying to be a law-abiding citizen, all right? You're trying to be a law-abiding person in this country. And you have these men running around in masks. And you should hear his wife and his kid. They're watching this happen to their fathers. How could you see this happening, MAGA, and then try to turn yourselves into a victim? You know, there's a saying, God doesn't like ugly. And I think you should understand this, MAGA. MAGA, let me be honest with you. Donald Trump doesn't run anything. He's a human being like you and me. He didn't create Earth. He didn't create the heavens. He can barely control his bladder. And y'all are worshiping this man. Y'all are giving this man everything you can because in your warped minds, you really do believe this man is God. I keep telling you, a hard head makes for a soft behind.
addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants. This is what the Democrats want. They want to have, and they want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers.
You hear that? We're going to take the money that we've been stealing from the American people, because I got to break it down for you, MAGA. We're going to take the money that we've been stealing from the American people, and we're going to give it to the farmers who we've harmed in the process of stealing from the American people. It's not going to be enough, but then you start saying, oh, I thought he said he was going to pay off our national debt with that money. Remember, the greatest threat to America is our national debt. Well, he just kissed that plan goodbye. Yeah. And why stop at the farmers? Think about all the other folks who've lost their businesses as a result of his tariffs. This is why a lot of people who were supporting Donald Trump, they're not supporting him anymore, because they don't get it until it starts happening to them. And every ounce of these tariffs, MAGA, will eventually start to impact you. It's already doing it. Just look at your grocery prices. But you're too simple-minded to see it, and your head's too deep in Donald Trump's diaper. And I'm going to keep making you look at the truth.
You are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit.
Yeah.
So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape, because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding, the other day, it was very interesting, they found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs.
The tariff shelf.
We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But
until the tariffs kick into their benefits. What kind of wordplay wizardry is that? until the terrorists start to kick into their benefit. Oh, I gotta give it to them. The lingo game is crazy. I'd never even thought about saying anything like that. I might have to use that as I'm ripping somebody off, all right? But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and warm up the lake of fire, because this is for Donald Trump. Unfortunately, sir, nobody buys what you're selling except these Trump supporters that come in here and pretend like it's really the golden age. It's not the golden age. It's really the worst. We're heading towards a 1929 depression, ladies and gentlemen, and Donald Trump's in the driver's seat, and his supporters are also riding with smiles on their face. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in sending them straight to hell!
Silence, you MAGA demon.
Moving along, ladies and gentlemen, you know what we got to cover? We got to cover this thing that's happening with James Comey. And I just want to caution MAGA that you make your bed, you got to lay in it, all right? So we all heard the news, and we're going to go through about a little bit of this, because the point that I need to make is it's very, very simple. A lot of y'all don't understand it, but when the Bible says you dig in a ditch for your adversaries, you end up falling in it. This is a good example of that. So I got to address this and I got to say, thank you, Donald Trump, for making James Comey and your political rivals some of the most famous people ever, because what you're doing is you're basically giving Democrats a huge, huge W. You're giving us a huge W.
Well, now the phrase trumped up charges has new meaning. Donald Trump has delivered what is literally the thinnest federal indictment you will ever see.
Thinnest.
It amounts to 2 pages only because the 2 counts, so-called, in this thin indictment are the same count, the same so-called crime, which we will show you in a moment, James Comey's testimony to the Senate. And so they use that same sentence that James Comey gave in his testimony to create these 2 different so-called counts. The first count is what this indictment calls that he made materially false and fictitious fraudulent statement to the United States Senate. That is not something that Donald Trump has ever taken seriously before now.
And let's just be honest. Didn't we all just watch Donald Trump's current FBI director, Kash Patel, do a lot worse? So, thank you. Thank you, Pam Bondi. Thank you, Kash Patel, for opening that door for us to come and get you.
And then they use that same so-called false statement to constitute an obstruction charge, obstruction of the United States Senate. That's what this indictment is. We've literally never seen anything like it in any way, either one of those counts. James Comey responded to the indictment tonight with this video.
Now listen to Comey. Listen to what Comey says, ladies and gentlemen, because this to me shows strength, all right? And this is what we need more of, all right?
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump.
Yep.
But we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way.
Yeah.
We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either.
Nope.
I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
Let's have a trial.
And keep the faith.
Amen. 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 Former FBI Director James Comey, because you got to understand, we can't let Donald Trump and his goons intimidate us and then surrender our rights. You know, we're not going to, as they say, obey in advance. No. If there's a real issue legally, let's go ahead and argue it out in the court of law as we should as Americans, right? Does anybody have a problem with that? Does anybody have a problem with this going to the court and going to the judge and the judge actually reviewing it and having a jury and them look at it and make sure that Donald Trump isn't weaponizing the DOJ? Because again, this is the same person that cried about the DOJ being weaponized against him, only to literally leave us a huge trail that shows he's the one actually doing this. That's why I say every MAGA accusation is what? A MAGA confession, W. Zeus.
When James Comey referred to his family in that statement,
Yeah.
he obviously is including his daughter, Maureen Comey, former federal prosecutor who was fired by Donald Trump and Donald Trump's Justice Department. She was the lead prosecutor in the Ghislaine Maxwell prosecution.
Oh.
She is the federal prosecutor who knew more about Ghislaine Maxwell and her prosecution than anyone else, and Ghislaine Maxwell's co-conspirator in sex trafficking, Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh.
Donald Trump made sure that she was fired before Donald Trump sent his criminal defense lawyer, his personal criminal defense lawyer, to Florida to interview Ghislaine Maxwell. Now that Donald Trump's personal criminal defense lawyer is his deputy attorney general,
Right. Get him,
he had to make sure that Maureen Comey was out of the way before he did that.
Oh.
That's
cover
one of the people James Comey referred to tonight in that video statement, and that quote, that line that he used, fear is the tool of a tyrant, is what his daughter, Maureen Comey, said when she was fired by the Justice Department in an email to her colleagues. She said, if a career prosecutor can be fired without reason, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. Do not let that happen. Fear is the tool of a tyrant, wielded to suppress independent thought. Instead of fear, let this moment fuel the fire that already burns at the heart of this place. A fire of righteous indignation at abuses of power, of commitment to seek justice for victims, of dedication to truth above all else.
Amen.
Donald Trump does not often delete social media posts. That is the rarest thing Donald Trump can do with a social media post, but he did it. He did it with the social media post in which he ordered his attorney general to bring this prosecution to his attorney general publicly. Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time, all talk, no action, nothing is being done. What about Comey, Adam Shifty Schiff, Letitia? They're all guilty as hell. And there is Donald Trump pronouncing guilt on James Comey while he's ordering his attorney general to make James Comey a criminal defendant. There's Donald Trump telling all of those grand jurors who heard this case, all of them, that James Comey is guilty as hell. That's Donald Trump telling the entire jury pool that will be considered for this case in the Eastern District of Virginia, that James Comey is guilty as hell. That is something that no president has ever done before Donald Trump. There was a moment when President Richard Nixon let slip publicly that he thought Charles Manson was guilty of those mass murders in Los Angeles. And President Nixon had to immediately retract that in a statement in writing for fear that that would create a mistrial in the prosecution of Charles Manson, and for fear that that would create prejudicial publicity that could harm Charles Manson ever getting a free trial, a fair trial in this country.
So what Lawrence O'Donnell is saying, ladies and gentlemen, is once again, Donald Trump is, number one, his own worst enemy. Because all these things that he's doing is going to prove that this is clearly a political hit job, number one. Number two, even if it does go to trial, he's giving Comey so much evidence and so much information that it could easily turn into a mistrial. So that's number two. And then number three, he's going to make Comey's book sales and the Democrat poll numbers really go through the roof, because there's no American that I know of, a real American, thinks it's acceptable for the sitting president of the United States to weaponize the DOJ and leave evidence of said weaponization in order to actually turn somebody that's innocent into guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in warming up the lake of fire. This is for the Trump supporters out there who are okay with Donald Trump doing this to James Comey, right? You see how much all of a sudden he can control the DOJ? But, hey, Trump, where are those Epstein files? I can't get it to you because the radical judges won't let me release it. Oh, okay, I'm busy putting tariffs on your kitchen cabinets. Okay, and you Trump supporters believe it. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in sending these demons where they belong, straight to hell.
MAGA.
W. Zeus. Now, I was going to go into detail about this, but what I'll say is this, ladies and gentlemen, and you can go look more into detail because we're on a bit of a tight schedule. I want you all to understand there's something going on right now, and folks are really blasting. You see that? You see what that is? All right. So this was just brought to my attention, ladies and gentlemen. This has to do with Melania Trump. All right, you see that? Those are ornaments. They're $90, and I just want you all to go look into this. All right. So apparently, Melania Trump, ladies and gentlemen, she is being labeled a grifter. All right, and they're calling her a grifter because she's unveiling these ornaments. And look at the price. She goes, First Lady Melania Trump this week unveiled her new line of Christmas ornaments, but fans hoping to celebrate the season with her designs are going to have to open up their wallets. Yeah, the brass enamel on the ornaments in the 250 collection named after the year's semi-quincentennial are selling for $75 through $90 a pop, or $465 for the set of 6. And so you can just see some of these ornaments, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Melania is selling them for. Now, you know these are only worth 10 cents. But when you're dealing with MAGA, you can charge whatever you want. And so now I guess some of the folks out there that supported her are starting to label Melania a grifter. And you know me, I don't like to bring Melania into this, all right, because she's not running the country. But this just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what's going on, Donald Trump and his family have a good way of figuring out how to rip you Trump supporters off, right? And you know what they're going to do? And they're saying that they're really expensive like that because of, guess what, Donald Trump's tariffs, right? So once again, ladies and gentlemen, join me in warming up the lake of fire. And we're going to send these Trump supporters straight to hell once again because, congratulations, Donald Trump is not only selling you Bibles, he's also selling you Christmas. He's going to go get it. All right, now my last thing that I wanted to come up and talk with you all. Oh, I wanted to say this. All right, this is very important. This goes back to the Comey thing. For those people who are working in the federal government, and this is coming from a reputable source, all right, there is something you need to be aware of, all right, because I guess if you are willfully participating in going after Donald Trump's political rivals, you might be opening up the door, all right, and getting yourself into a jam legally, all right. And so what I'll say is this, all right, and then I'll move on. Ex-GOP strategist Rick Wilson, who recently said that he might depose Donald Trump in a lawsuit and force the president to explain his ties to deceased trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. He said the Trump administration's decision to actively pursue indictments for the president's perceived political enemies, most recently former FBI Director James Comey, he says this, ladies and gentlemen. The kicker is this. The dead-eyed Lindsay Halligan, her DOJ drones, and other Trump appointees in the FBI and other agency who sell their souls for Trump's approval. The law does not forgive you. Under 18 USC 242. Can somebody look that up? 18 USC 242. If you use your federal office to deprive an American of their right, you can rot in prison for up to a decade. And if the abuse causes serious harm, you are looking at life. Could you imagine? Could you imagine throwing your life away for Donald Trump? Section 241 makes it a felony to conspire in that abuse. Obstruction of justice statutes tack on another 5 to 20 years. Every phony affidavit, every kangaroo indictment, every leak to Trump's pet media is a career-ending, life-wrecking felony. He continued to say, do you really want to make that bet? Sure, you'll think you'll get pardoned first. But Donald Trump isn't the healthiest creature on earth and could easily join the choir infernal before that happens. So when you raise your right hand and swear an oath to uphold the Constitution, then you kneel to Trump and scribble charges against his enemies, you're not just following orders. You're the willing goon in his vendetta, and when this nightmare ends, you'll be the one staring down an indictment. He added, the Nuremberg rules apply. I was only doing my job is not a defense. It's a confession. I tell you, Trump supporters, quote, Trump will go down in history as the man who tried to turn American justice into punishment protection racket. Cross him and the DOJ will arrest you. Pay him and you'll get a pardon for even the worst crimes. And you, the toadies who obeyed him, will be remembered not as patriots, but as henchmen in cheap suits. When that cell door slams and the history books are written, the only question left will be, was selling out your oath worth it? Yeah, thank you. That's a huge W, Zeus, and a huge W, Rick Wilson. Now, I know this is the part that, I wanted to get on it, but I'm going to go ahead and jump to a video that involves a former white supremacist. What's her name? Let me get her name. I watched some of her videos, but I feel like we got to bring this up in the kingdom, all right? Because, yeah, her name is Jenny Gage. You can go look this woman up on YouTube. I decided to bring this up because, as I mentioned earlier in the show, lately, we've been calling out the violence that's been happening in these white-on-white communities, right? Because remember, we were bouncing around from violence in the black community, and I couldn't stop the MAGA white guys getting in my box and telling us, oh, why don't black people get over it, right? Slavery's over. I've never owned. They had no problem getting in here and getting dirty and talking about black on black crime. But see, God humbled y'all, and now y'all got some serious issues, right? And they don't understand my rhetoric lately. They don't. Where are you getting it from? Well, all I'm doing is I'm tapped in. I'm tapped in, all right? You ever seen Michael Jordan playing in the basketball game in the fourth quarter? I'm tapped in like Jordan right now, all right? I get it, all right? I lived around this kind of stuff. I told you I came from a red state. So what I'll do is let Jenny Gage, a former white supremacist, she's going to give us a little bit of an insight into what she said was what Stephen Miller said at CK's memorial service, all right? And this is the issue. This is the issue, and this is why I think it's very important for those of you who have the ability to actually speak on things like this, to speak on it. Use your whiteness, all right, to save this great country of ours, all right? And just because we're having a discourse about this, it doesn't mean that Zeus is a hateful person at all. It doesn't. What it means is I'm not afraid to confront very difficult things that are going on in this country, all right? And that's what we all need to be doing, especially when you look at what's happening. So you can go watch this. We're not going to watch the whole 30-minute video, but I want you to get an idea of what she says had her really disturbed and really, totally blown away, all right?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take Two. I've been sitting at my desk writing out a script as a response to the Stephen Miller part of Charlie Kirk's memorial, and I have been...
Hold on. Now, who went and reported Big Zeus? Who went and reported Big Zeus? Who went and reported me? Who went and got their feelings? Are y'all really that? Y'all can't handle some information about? Wow. Well, you know what? I don't got all day to play around on TikTok. I'll go ahead and continue in this, and then we'll go ahead and do judgment. If it means that, it happens, I got other things to do. All right, seriously. Oh my gosh.
Bawling my eyes out. And here's what I was thinking. I would rather pause right now, throw away the entire script, and give you just my raw response than sit here and make something sound perfect. I haven't even had a shower yet. I went for my jog this morning with Kevin, and we're just going to do this. If you're new to me, I am a former white supremacist, Christian nationalist, big time.
She's a former white supremacist, Christian nationalist. All right?
A follower, Trump supporter.
Former Trump supporter.
Left the Mormon church, my alt-right religious community, and gradually deconstructed all of that just recently. I just left MAGA 2 years ago. I left the Mormon church 7 years ago, left Christianity about the same time that I left MAGA. And I've saved this video, I've saved watching this portion of the Charlie Kirk Memorial, which was here in my hometown. I am an Arizona girl. I grew up in Scottsdale, part of my life.
All right. So she's telling you her background, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, what I want are my haters, my critics, and my detractors who've been saying, Zeus, you've been doing a number when you've been talking about white on white violence. I want you to come up here and correct this woman, and just do it right here on TikTok today, if you don't mind.
The Rafon's family, although Eric is much younger than me, so we never crossed paths. I haven't watched this video. I've watched other portions of the funeral, and the first time I watched it was just half an hour ago when I began to script about it. So let's dive into this. I hope not just to give you a response, but to translate what he's saying, because I think there's so much that only a former white supremacist can see.
Okay, so she's saying she's going to translate this because there's only so much a former white supremacist can see. Now, that means she's going into a dimension that I know exists, but I would never, ever be able to go. So I got to listen to what she is saying to get an understanding, all right? And so listen up.
Angels wept, but those tears have been turned into fire in our hearts. And that fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend or understand.
So right there is a former cult member and somebody who was part of the alt-right and hardcore Christian nationalist. Every cult has an in-group and an out-group.
Okay.
You have to have a leader. You have to have a purpose. You have to have the pure genetic pool or the pure membership. Purity is everything. And from the very get-go here, he's talking about angels. So he's sanctifying everything he's going to say here. We speak for God. The angels are behind us. And our enemies, that's the out-group. This is terrifying in the first 8 seconds here.
When I see Erica and her strength and her courage, I'm reminded of a famous expression. The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm.
Whoa.
I used to love that quote, and I actually had that on my Facebook profile for a long time. And I had this feeling of, I am the storm. And there's a little word in there that a lot of people might have missed, and it's just the word warrior.
Yeah.
As a white supremacist, I literally believed that I was this warrior. I was the warrior for civilization. I was the warrior for God. I was the warrior for truth. I was the warrior battling for traditional family and everything that civilization was based on. So that little word there is not insignificant.
Erica is the storm.
Interesting.
We are the storm. And our enemies cannot comprehend.
Storm troopers, anybody?
And our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion.
Wow.
Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors.
Okay, there's that word warrior again. You guys, if you were never white supremacist, you do not understand how terrifying that little bit of this already was.
Wow.
So, white supremacy isn't necessarily about hating brown people. It's not about hating African Americans or the...
You hear this, Blaga? Where's Dame at? Dame, are you here, bro? Do you hear what she's saying? What white supremacy isn't about? It's not about hating on you. You could do the work and uphold white supremacy. All right? But go ahead, Jenny. Go ahead and break it down, especially to the blagger out here.
Indigenous populations of America, First Nations in New Zealand or Australia, people in India, wherever. It's not about hating them. White supremacy is the belief that white people are chosen. Now, a lot of this is based on biblical mythology. It's
Bible?
based on Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel, and the belief that Cain murdered his brother Abel, so he was cursed with brown skin. That was then carried throughout the flood with Ham. Ham was supposed to have been the father of Egypt and Africa after the ark landed wherever it landed. That was what I was taught in church. A lot of my Christian friends, a lot of early colonists believed that concept, that the curse of Cain was why people from Africa were brown skinned.
So I get it now. Trump supporters see Big Zeus and I'm black, and they assume that I'm cursed. Is this true? Is this true, MAGA? Is this true? You think all of us black folk and people of color were cursed? And you think the Bible supports that belief? This is some crazy stuff, ladies and gentlemen. This is some crazy stuff. And you can't blame me. If you got a problem with me, I'm not saying these words. These are words from a former white supremacist, a white nationalist, a former Trump supporter, a white woman. These are her words. All right? I'm just hitting play.
And white supremacy to me was just, I am that pure lineage straight from Adam and Eve. I remember my granddad saying that there were only approximately 250 generations from Adam and Eve to me. That's, just averaging the
250.
I don't know, 25 years or something per human generation span. I don't know exactly what his math figure was to get that, and accounting for we've already lived through 6,000 years of Earth history is the biblical teaching. So from Adam and Eve to me was about 250 generations. I literally believed that my pure bloodline went back to Adam and Eve. Adam was handmade by God. God formed him out of the dust.
Wow.
And in the Bible, when it says that God made Adam in his image.
Hold on. Once again, Big Zeus is getting reported. Oh my God. Come on, let's go ahead and do this. Who's reporting Big Zeus? Who's reporting Big Zeus, ladies and gentlemen? Y'all can't. Listen up. Some of us want to actually make it through this content. I'm not going to be here all morning. For those of you who find this kind of information offensive and you don't like it, do me a huge favor.
If you're not happy here,
seriously,
then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Yeah. Some of us actually want to know what's going on inside of these spaces we never will be able to get into. All right, so it's very important you allow the information to flow, all right, uninterrupted. And if it's causing you to be so uncomfortable, then maybe that's a sign that you got to do a lot of work on yourself, all right? Because now you can start to relate and understand the communities you're in and not become an enemy, but become an ally. Zeus. Stop trying to steal from those of us who want to actually try to do better.
To me, as a Christian, and
okay, some of us out here want to actually hear what this woman has to say. If you can't handle it, leave.
A believer in the Bible, literally, that Adam and Eve was literal, that Heavenly Father was literal. I believed that God was white. I believed that Jesus was white. And so when they made man in his image, then they made a white man. In the Mormon temple, I would watch videos that showed Adam and Eve in the garden, and Eve had long blonde hair just like me. She looked like Erica Kirk in a little suede dress that looked like something a Navajo would have worn. And Adam was white as white could be, and he had a little barbershop haircut. In the Mormon video of Adam and Eve, I always pictured Adam and Eve being white, just like me. And I believed that I was literally descended from them. So this is the core of white supremacy, the belief that God made Adam and Eve perfect, and then the belief that all good things in the world came through white Aryan lineage. This is the Third Reich. This is Nazism. He's not even hiding it. But I think that it's hidden inside because a lot of people don't understand. So this belief that whites were so superior, that they were different than people, is what allowed early Christians in America to own other human beings. That's what chattel slavery was based on. It was based on the belief that African Americans were less than, that they were genetically different. And I believed that they were almost like a totally different species.
Oh, species.
That's because that lineage had been separated for so many years, that we had evolved differently than them. And part of that was because my lineage, like I was descended from Adam and Eve, and then the tribes of Israel and the chosen people. I had descended from the chosen people. I believed that. I believed that from Adam and Eve to me, everything had been revealed through God to his chosen people. And the fact that I was born white meant that I was part of this long race of people that God had instructed.
Wow.
And part of that chosenness is that revelation from God. It's God directly teaching people. Like, I believe that God shared his light and knowledge with every inventor. So the first person that had fire, that was Heavenly Father touching his mind and showing him how to start a fire, literally teaching and instructing him. Like Adam received instructions in the Garden of Eden. I believed that, like, algebra and the written language and everything came from God. That all civilization was direct revelation from God. And by default, anything that happened in the African continent, which I just didn't have the knowledge to understand how much advancement there had been on the African continent, they were less advanced because they were cut off from God. So God wasn't inspiring them with his revelation. God wasn't giving them this technological advancement because they were a cursed people. Ooh. So that's why Africa was still so primitive, and they were like living in huts. And I grew up with National Geographic, where, you know, whenever you saw photo shoots of African people, they like were half naked and painted faces and pierced noses and things like that. I believed that they had evolved over the years from Adam, completely different than us, and that they had lower IQ. They weren't in any way as advanced as us. And then when he gets to the part about Erica being a warrior, again, we're tying into this Aryanism. We're tying into the strength, the enlightenment, the blessedness of the white people.
A woman who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization.
Again, this little bit about civilization. In white supremacy, there is a belief that every good civilized thing that ever happened came from white people. To the point that when archaeologists first started to penetrate the American continent, and they discovered some of the ruins of the Olmecs and the Mayans and the Aztecs, they originally speculated that people from Europe must have come over to the Americas because they landed in this whole continent that was full of nothing but brown-skinned people. Some of the French and English archaeologists looked around and they were like, yeah, there must have been white people that came to the Americas and taught them how to build these pyramid-like structures and all of the advancements, the calendars, the mathematical systems, medicinal knowledge that they had. They could not even conceive of the fact that the populations of North and South America could have at all done any of this on their own simply because they were brown-skinned.
Yeah.
There were books and articles published by some of the early European archaeologists into North and South America where they stated as fact that we've discovered these civilizations that are proof that Europeans must have come to the Americas. And that was foundational to my Mormon beliefs. The Book of Mormon is literally about people from Jerusalem who, by the way, I was taught would have been white.
A stick of butter.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this is a behavior. This is deep in her, and you can just, I love listening to her work it out in her mind, because when people hear what we are saying, you know, Z-Pot got into the live yesterday, and he was explaining how white people could be inherently racist. Some people get it, others don't. But when you hear stories like this, I'm hoping that now you're hearing it for if you haven't heard this before, then this is going to shock you, right? But if you kind of already knew this, then you know what she is saying ties into how things are actually going in this country, right? And so this is why I get on MAGA in particular. Why would y'all support Donald Trump and Stephen Miller? Do you know who these people are? Yeah, I get it. The Democrats didn't get the toilet tissue and come into your house and wipe your behind and make you feel good. I get that. But look at the damage that's coming as a result of you continuing to uphold this administration. This is dangerous stuff.
Pick up in Mormon doctrine, but I believed that Mayans, Aztecs, every civilization that had lived on the face of the Americas was because white people from Jerusalem had come to the Americas, and they brought all of that knowledge, which they had directly from God. Again, a lot of white supremacy is based on the fact that God speaks directly to his race, his chosen people, those who are descended from Adam.
Who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light.
That right there was such a slam. Pulled us out of the caves and the darkness and into the light. That doesn't sound like white supremacy to probably almost anybody listening to it, right? Like it almost sounds like he's just referencing women. Like, oh, the power of Erica Kirk, the power of women. But he's literally slamming brown people. Wow. We lived in caves, the people in Africa, people through the Fertile Crescent, Middle East running around in the desert, and then white
black
people.
I gotta stop it. Because I gotta move on. But I hope you all who have been getting on Big Zeus and others on this app because you think we're spewing hatred, I hope you all now understand why the temperature is the way that it is in the United States of America right now. I didn't know all of this, but my spider senses, my Zeus senses were going off, why am I starting to all of a sudden feel like I'm a problem in this country when I haven't been feeling like this before? And now it's starting to make sense. It's because there's an evil spirit, MAGA demon going on in this country. Got folks out here upholding white supremacy, don't even know what it is, but they think that it's ultimately a good thing. And what we're finding out, this is a woman who's actually left MAGA, but she's reporting to us just how dark it is in there, right? So what I'll do is this. If there are any Trump supporters out there after listening to this, and you're not shook to your core, and you still support Donald Trump, what I'm going to do is give you a first-class trip where, ladies and gentlemen, join me in sending these MAGA demons, these MAGA-possessed individuals who still don't understand why we have a problem in this great country of ours with white supremacy. Join me in sending them straight to hell! Now,
you MAGA
Zeus. Now, make no mistake, I am not one person that goes around and, all white people are bad. No, that's not what I hope you took from that. What I'm hoping you gathered out of that, because we do need all people in this country to make America great. That's how I see it. But we also can't be lying to ourselves about the fact that there could be folks out here who are up to no good. All right. They don't want to see America be great. They want their version of America. And it's not local to white people. It could be anybody out there. And so when you see it, we got to address it. All right. And that's a huge W Zeus. So don't go around, please, and start telling all these all white folks that they're bad. That's not what this is about. We're talking about folks like Stephen Miller who want to get out here, and they don't want to admit what it is, but you can hear it in their rhetoric. You know exactly what it is. I'm not in those spaces, but when I see it, I'm going to address it. W Zeus. All right. Now, I hope this country can really move on, because there's other issues in this country that we also do need to be addressing. Because one of the biggest issues in the country that I think we should really also address is the economy. Yeah, but we can't ignore this either, all right? So let's move it along, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Let's go to the box. If you are a Trump supporter, Jenny Gage, that's her name, Eugene. If you are what did you say, C-Dub? Is there a question you have? If you are a Trump supporter, identify yourselves in the chat section. Place a 1 in the chat, all right? All right? There you go. Put a one in the chat. Maybe I misspoke, C-Dub, and you're trying to correct me. That's why I asked you. Yes, good morning, Jalen. Good morning. Okay. Put a one in the chat. Oh, Cosmo's here. Okay. All right, let's go. Okay, Cosmo wants to come on up here. All right, I've spoken to Cosmo before. Yeah, good morning.
Top of the morning.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. What brings you to the kingdom this bright and early?
Yes, I was just thinking about the YT supremacy issue, alleged issue.
Mm-hmm.
My take on it is it seems more like a black supremacy issue than a white supremacy issue.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
It's more of I think it's black supremacy or rainbow supremacy. Those are the two supremacies that I think
Why
exist.
do you think that? And are you open to perhaps being challenged?
Well, I'm not as intelligent as you are, so
No, I'm not intelligent, bro. You know that. You got up here and you suggested it could be black supremacy and rainbow supremacy. So those are concepts that I'm not quite familiar with. But if you don't mind, could you educate all of us on what black supremacy is and then what rainbow supremacy is first of all?
sure. Let me just expand a little bit more on it. So I think it's the black supremacy issue, but there's also a fatigue that is adjoined to it, right? So, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So supremacy, like if you look at white supremacy, what do you think that means? You're thinking that it means that it's the white people that think they are superior.
Not all white people.
Well, I mean, we don't
Not all
have.
white people, some, right?
If we have 70% or 69% of the population in the United States out of 330 million are white, what percentage of that would you say is white supremacy? You're talking less than 10%.
Well, I mean, that's why. I mean, I don't know the exact percentage, but for the sake of the conversation, I was hoping you could give me clarity on what black supremacy is and then what rainbow supremacy is.
It's the
Right?
same thing as white supremacy. It's a group of individuals that believe that their group or community is superior to others.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay. And so is it your understanding that this is the group of people running the country and these groups actually have a history of running the United States too, or no?
Yes, it is to an extent, yes. Like if you
So
want to categorize it, right?
So, have there been scenarios where black or rainbows people, as you like to say, enslaved people like you, and put laws on the books and created institutions that actually reinforce these beliefs, or no? And if there have been, I would imagine you're going to say yes. Name those institutions.
No, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that the
So then it's
concept.
kind of it's one thing to have a belief system, right? But then it's another thing to weaponize the belief system, right? And subject people to it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that might be what you're not seeing from what I've just shared out here. America's history, and you can't convince people in this country the harm and the atrocities that happened didn't happen, right? You can't convince us that didn't happen.
Can we convince people that slavery is canceled?
What does that mean in your world?
It's non-existent today. There's
Oh,
no
I can't.
slavery.
I can't do that with 100% confidence. I don't subscribe to that. I think it's a little bit covert. It's more covert, right? They come up with creative ways to do it. Giving people criminal records and subjecting them to that. Maybe there's a way of doing it financially. Robbing people of opportunities and things like that, locking them out. So there's different ways to go about doing it, right? And to be honest with you, you can hear it in some of the rhetoric. I was very alarmed when this former white supremacist, Jenny, she was able to link the rhetoric of Stephen Miller to white supremacy. So I don't think it's canceled. I actually think it's being masked. It's hidden. And proof of that would be like Obama's presidency. I really didn't understand why a lot of people said Barack Obama was the most divisive president. But if I look at it through the lens that I've kind of know exists out there, then I believe Obama's skin color, right, made a lot of people feel very, very uncomfortable. You get what I mean?
I think initially it was a shock to a lot of
It
people.
shouldn't have been a shock though.
Right, you're right. It shouldn't be a shock.
Because it should have been a celebration of one of the greatest things this country has to offer, which is diversity. We should have celebrated. We should celebrate things like that. We should celebrate if we have a woman running to be the president of the United States, because don't you want the best for the country?
No, that you always want the best for the country, but that particular woman, in my view, wasn't even close to Barack, and I wasn't a fan of Barack.
Well, nobody is equal. Like, there's only one Zeus, there's only one Cosmos. So to try to compare her to somebody else, that's already wrong, right? You gotta let people be who they are, right? And I was pointing out we should be celebrating the diversity of this country, because believe it or not, and this is just my opinion, our diversity is what makes us one of the greatest countries on the planet.
But Zeus, we don't have a diversity problem at the United States. If we are the most diverse country on the planet, we don't have a diversity issue.
Oh, we have a diversity issue. Maybe
I
you're
don't
not.
think we do.
Maybe you're not following what I'm saying. I believe we have a diversity issue because while I tend to be very open to women being in leadership positions, women of color being in leadership positions, people of color being in these positions, and even being able to be the president, I'm fully aware that there are a lot of people in this country, and it's not just white people, right? But they have a problem with that, right? In one way or another, they're struggling with accepting the fact that, yeah, you know what? Kamala Harris, she's not funny, right? Her laugh, maybe it's not the laugh you would prefer, but doggone it, that woman actually put in the work it takes to be qualified for the job, right? And you can't take away a person's qualifications at all.
You know, I'm like
right?
considered a racist, right, bigot, right? But when I looked at Kamala Harris, I never ever once viewed her as a black woman.
Now, how do you think that made me? When you said that, how do you think I interpreted that?
You should interpret it
with that
fine.
statement. That statement. How do you think I interpreted that statement, sir?
You should interpret it the right way, as it's intended. I didn't look at her as, "Hey, this is a black woman. I don't want a black woman president." I never even thought, never even crossed my mind. Never even crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was how she appeared, how her presence is. You know, then looking into the background and the history, and then the rest of the package. And for me, it just wasn't the choice. That's all it was. That's all it was. It wasn't her skin color at all.
So you never saw her as a woman?
I never saw her as a black person or a black woman.
If you could,
I saw her as a candidate.
Okay, so you're saying you don't see color.
I didn't see color with her.
You don't see color and you don't see gender.
I do, but in the sense of who's going to be the president, I look for the qualifications. I look for the whole package, the whole package, not just one, one thing. Like 90% of the black vote was Kamala.
Yeah.
So,
and what did you see when you saw Donald Trump?
I saw that he had a successful career and a very successful person. A successful family, tried to keep it all together. I mean, his entire family.
And success is determined as what? Because if I were to throw things out there, I could also point out, well, I don't consider Donald Trump to be successful, right?
Many billionaires have more failings than most people.
But when I look at companies, because he's a businessman, right? I look at companies like Google, I look at companies like Apple, Airbnb. There's ways you can go about measuring the success of these businesses, right?
Trump understands TikTok.
Huh?
Look at TikTok. Look at Trump's understanding.
But he didn't make TikTok. TikTok is successful, not Trump, right? And we have examples of Donald Trump, having bankruptcies. We have examples of the charities that he used to defraud people, Trump universities. These are all things that, if he was trying it and failed, and it was because he was legitimately trying to operate these businesses, then I would agree with you. But every time you look at why these businesses are failing, it's tied to some sort of scam. He had to have the Russians bail him out, right? And then the case that involves Letitia James, you hear about him and the way that he was fudging the numbers. Then you hear about the case which he got convicted in, and you hear what he was doing, falsifying business records. You layer that with the fact that Donald Trump, he was impeached twice, right, in his first term.
All that
to me,
yeah,
it sounds like you're grading Trump on a curve. and and that curve isn't being applied to Kamala Harris, right? When you look at her, she doesn't have that baggage.
It's
So
almost.
even if
I'll tell
we're
you what
not
it is.
even if we're not looking at the race or the gender, you can't say that Kamala's qualifications are less than Donald Trump's.
I'll tell you
Donald
where.
Trump would be a red flag in my opinion.
I'll tell you where that falls apart immediately. If you compare, it's really hard to compare, and you bring out a good point. It's hard to compare Kamala to Trump because they're two different animals, right? It's almost like, she's a veteran politician, right? She's government her whole entire career, just about, right?
I call them public servants. Right?
She's a public servant in her entire career, I would say.
Correct.
Fair to say that, right?
Correct.
He is not that. But where he edges up over her, in my view, in politics, is he was a president, right?
But,
she was never a president. He was a
before the first time in this first term. You get what I'm saying? He wasn't a president when he ran the first time. So
yes,
so
correct.
that doesn't hold. That doesn't hold. All right.
Well,
she was. She's had. If you were to put them up side by side, she has more experience as a public servant than Donald Trump, and more successful experience than Donald Trump. If you're just looking at the statistics, if you're just looking at the stats. So
yeah,
so then you have to conclude Kamala was more qualified than Donald Trump.
Not necessarily, because the reason why Trump won was because the Democrats were failing.
No.
They didn't want more of that.
No. I didn't. Okay, I wasn't getting into all of that because I actually think there's a lot more nuance to why Trump won. All right, and it involves foreign actors. But I want to make sure that I literally am framing this conversation, Cosmo, as though you and I. You ever had to hire anybody?
I've hired thousands of people.
Okay. What is your process to go about hiring people?
Depends on what the scope of the job is.
Whatever the job is, just be general, right? And let's try to be very.
You want somebody that meets the qualifications, someone that's respectable.
What do you do? How do you verify that? You put a job description up, right? And you say, this is what we want, right?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
Then it's an opening, and then if I'm wrong, correct me. But then they apply for the job. People submit their applications. Maybe they include their resumes and perhaps character references like that. You get those. What do you do?
Well, if I'm the hiring official, if I'm the person actually doing the hiring, not the hiring manager.
Yeah, you are.
Then I'm looking for them to meet all of the the qualifications and checking all the boxes that should be checked.
Okay, so you understand the process. And so if you get an application and you see that, you have two candidates, but one candidate has all these red flags, right? Convictions, like accusations of SA, the evidence of defrauding, right?
Good point. Yep. But
if you, and I'm using your language, if you're stripping the gender and the race out of it, which candidate would you proceed with moving forward with? The one that has the issues and lacks the experience, or the one that has the experience and doesn't have all of those issues?
Obviously, you're going to always pick the one with less baggage, right? Almost 99%.
And the experience too.
And what happened here with Trump is something different.
I agree.
77 million people washed away what you're talking about.
And you know why something different happened, Cosmo?
Yes, I do.
And I appreciate this level of truth coming from you, because I can only imagine how difficult it is to come to this point with me, because we're still there. A lot of people in this country, they let their prejudices and their biases kick in, right? And they ignored they basically didn't listen to what I call common sense, and they allowed their beliefs, which I say they're radicalized. They allowed their beliefs that are radicalized to make the judgment call, and that's a real issue in this country. That's why I played this former white supremacist, because for a minute I didn't understand how you could literally see the qualifications and then go, yeah, this person that got the experience and less baggage, no, I want this demon right here. I don't get that, but it makes sense if you're a person that subscribes to, perhaps the white supremacy ideology.
Not necessarily. What I think it is you got to understand the psychology of voters, right?
Mm-hmm.
The voters aren't the most like you're being very logical in this discussion, right? We're talking about logical things. Well, if you just compare the resumes in politics, then obviously she would be the one. Obviously, 99, million
Cosmo,
people
you're
would be the
right.
candidate.
Huh?
99 million people would be the candidate over somebody that hasn't been in politics, right? If you look at it from that perspective. But that's not how 77 million people looked at it, right?
Well, how
They
did
looked
they
at
look
it
at it, Cosmo?
they looked at it as this guy is different, number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he's being railroaded. And that's what people saw. Whether you agree with it or not, the majority of the population saw that.
Yeah.
And they didn't like it. They
Yeah.
did not like it.
Who
And
is he
voters
being
aren't
railroaded by?
well, when he's got rollout upon rollout of indictments across the country while he's running as a candidate, it's a bad look.
But
It's
who
like,
is
hey,
he?
let's.
But who is he being railroaded by? I don't. I
It
didn't.
looked like
I
it
don't
looked
get
like
that.
it looked like the administration was railroading him.
Right.
And
And so the railroading began based on his. Okay, so you all interpreted Donald Trump being held accountable for his conduct as him being railroaded.
yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
misinformation, and that's the network of information that I'm trying to get you to recognize that a
You're not
lot of
going to
us
be able to convince people that,
a
that
lot of
otherwise.
a lot of us don't think that, for instance, right?
We
For
understand
instance,
like how to
for
convert 34 counts of misdemeanors into a felony. We understand how improper that is. We understand that that's improper. You have to do gymnastics to do that kind of a deal.
okay,
And
okay, so let's do it this way then. Do you think he was railroaded when he invited Stormy Daniels to the hotel?
no, that's a
Okay,
totally
okay,
different situation.
okay. So I'm just trying to get to when the
He's wrong.
railroad
He's
because
wrong in there.
because if there is no evidence, you can't bring a case. Number one, right? So
You can.
we huh? Well,
You can.
okay. So then you let me know in this scenario, right? If the evidence was fabricated or if it was real. So then you
In Stormy
had
Daniels' case,
then
in
you
Stormy
had
Daniels,
and then you had Michael Cohen. He's been on the show. He played an active role in what happened. You had the Inquirer magazine being involved. They played all these things that occurred in that case in particular. It had nothing to do with Democrats, right? It was
that wasn't
people.
compelling
It
enough
was it
to
was
stop.
wait. It was people in his own orbit.
But this,
Republicans, right, Cosmo?
yes, but Zeus, this is
Okay.
the perfect point. What you're looking at is this is such a horrible, horrible thing with Stormy Daniels, but people forgave that for a reason. They forgave it because they didn't see the Democrats delivering enough. So they went with Trump.
Yeah.
That's what happened. The
No,
Democrats failed.
no,
They
no.
failed.
Hold on, Cosmo. What it is this, and I think other folks might want to check in with you. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the time I'm going over. Jesus Christ.
Go ahead,
Uh,
man. I can jump if you got to go.
no, because I'm kind of getting to the point that I need to get to. I believe a lot of folks like yourself, you might believe whatever it is that you think it is, but I think it has a lot more to do with the whole white supremacy angle, right? Because honestly, you don't give people of color that level of gratitude, so to speak, when you see things happening, especially like when you start talking about black on black crime, you start talking about people who are black and being caught up in the criminal justice system. I've never heard these kind of narratives being suggested, right? But when you do it, and I see you always doing it for Donald Trump, I can't help but wonder what's the difference, right? What's the
I think
difference?
that
Because
I think
because right is right, wrong is wrong. And the way that I look at this case is he did all of these things. And if it was a one-off, I would follow you down that path. But it was multiple indictments. It was 26 women accusing this man of SA. You can't get that level of coordination out of the Democrats.
here's the
You
deal.
can't do
People
that.
see
You can't get it. The likelihood is that he's actually this bad. He's actually this bad.
Here's why he's not. Here's why he's not. And this is the
Okay.
logic behind it.
Okay. Wait. Did you catch what I said?
I totally did. And I'm
Okay,
going
so
to
you said he's actually not. Do you believe he cheated on all of his wives?
I believe he cheated on some of his wives, yes.
Okay. Do you believe that he was found liable for SA and defamation of E. Jean Carroll?
But let's back up on the wives thing. I think before we get to that, we'll get to that. I think that the wives thing. I think anyone that marries him realizes that may be part of the deal.
But remember, I'm trying to challenge the narrative that you said he's not that bad, right? But I'm throwing scenarios out here to you, right, to just see if you at least acknowledge that these are real things that he's done, right? So
yes, he has cheated on some of his wives. Yes.
Okay, great. And he's been found liable for SA and defamation for
He's
E.G.
been
Carroll.
found
That's
civilly
true.
liable for SA. Yes.
Yeah, and then 26 other women have also accused him. Correct? There's a pattern
those
here.
are
Do you believe
accusations,
that
those
he's
are-
defrauded charities?
I think he settled lawsuits.
That's a yes
with
or a
regard
no.
to-
That's a yes or a no, bro. I mean, if you don't believe it, you don't believe it. If you do, you do. Which one?
I don't believe he's defrauded charities.
Okay, what about Trump University? Do you think that was a
Because
scam?
he doesn't need the money.
Do you think Trump University was a scam he was found liable to have committed?
I don't know enough about it. It sounded like a settlement of $25 million. That's what it
Okay,
sounded like.
what about the hush money? I mean, the fraud case with Letitia James, where he was found to have been committing fraud. Do you accept that?
Absolutely not.
Do you accept the fact that he's been impeached twice?
Yes.
Okay. Do you accept the fact that he said Jeffrey Epstein was his best friend and was a terrific guy?
Yeah, I think there's a statement somewhere he may have said that. Yes.
And you acknowledge Jeffrey Epstein is one of the largest traffickers in the world.
Absolutely.
And so, what does that look like to you when this is what he's saying about somebody who you and I both know is a disgusting person?
It looks to me.
Do you think Do you think the Democrats fabricated all of this, or are you willing to at least acknowledge this is a lot of self-inflicted stuff that Donald Trump has done?
What we wanted was for you guys to have all of that, and for all the Democrats to have that package prior to Trump becoming a president.
No,
that's what we wanted.
Okay, but listen, you're an independent. You're an independent thinker.
Not that
Listen,
before he became president.
You're an independent thinker, Cosmo. All I'm pointing out to you is you can try to run around this issue as much as you want, but the evidence is there. Donald Trump is a terrible person. You know it.
He's not.
All right, he's a terrible
bro.
person. Hold on. I'm going to let some folks, because there's a lot of people who want to actually check in with you. So bear with me. Oh my goodness. All right. So what we'll do is this.
I can jump if you got to get somebody else on.
No, we're gonna go for about 20 more minutes because I gotta get out of here. Good morning, Val. How are you doing?
How's it going?
Hit the gym.
Yep.
Yeah, how's it going? I mean, there's a lot here. One, you started off with supremacy, right? I think there's a misunderstanding of what supremacy actually is. You know, there's a belief that you're superior to somebody, and then there's a way that you use power, and that's what supremacy is. Okay, it's power over an opponent for supremacy. So that's I don't understand the concept here because, sir, I want to know, when has the black community in this country ever held the power?
Obama 1.0 and 2.0.
Obama, they still, as a people in this country, have never held the power.
Being the president of the United States is
Sir,
power.
it's a matter of numbers.
You know what power means? That is power.
It is a matter of numbers.
So
if it's a matter of numbers,
on a group that from the beginning of time in this country,
right,
were enslaved.
Come on,
guess
now,
who made
Cosmo. I'm listening to this, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's a below the belt move you did, weaponizing Obama's presidency and trying to liken it to all the history of slavery in this country. It doesn't work like that.
Slavery's canceled. Slavery's canceled. Just so you know. Get the memo.
No.
Slavery's canceled.
It's canceled. It's gone.
So when somebody gets sentenced to prison time in a work prison, and they have to work for either no money or $3 or $4, $5 a day for food, slavery's canceled.
Read the Constitution and come back to me.
Read the Constitution.
Read the Constitution and come back to me about slavery.
Sir, I think you might want to do that.
Slavery in prisons and wages in prisons and slaves in prisons. Read about that in
Sir,
the
because somebody put it in a set of words and stuck it in the
Well,
Constitution
the Constitution, accept it.
and actually stuck it in the Constitution doesn't
Accept.
make it so.
So Cosmo, my concern here is we're not having an enriching discussion, and I sense the defensiveness on your end. Why can't you be more open-minded to these other ways of thinking?
He's bringing like preposterous ideas and
No,
ideology.
tell me where the sir. No, you're the one that did that. Tell me where the Constitution ended slavery, please.
I didn't say the Constitution ended slavery. You just put words in my mouth. You see, you're playing games.
No, sir. You said read the
Right.
Constitution.
Nobody
Did you
on
not?
this live said that.
No, sir. I didn't put words in your mouth.
Said
You
that.
said
Yeah.
the Constitution ended
I
slavery.
did not. I said to you.
That's
that
what you said, sir.
Slavery is canceled. Then you talked about prisoners. Then when you went to prisoners and
So what did you mean when you said it? When
minimum
you said
wages.
it's canceled? What did you say? Connect the whole "it's canceled" in the Constitution thing. What did you mean?
Yeah, what he did was he conflated my comment about slavery being canceled with the wage that prisoners.
No, I
own.
didn't say anything about. I didn't say anything about that. I said you said the Constitution, and you did.
Yeah, I heard
Yes,
that.
but
I
you're
heard that.
conflating-
So we're
you heard
listening.
the
We're,
words
we're
Constitution.
active listeners, Cosmo. All right. What we're ultimately trying to get you to acknowledge is that there's something. Your software needs to be updated, bro.
I think your software
this
needs to
the
be
way you're
updated.
it's been updated several times. It's always getting updated. You're not coming to grips with this reality that we're sharing with you. All right. And
What he's talking about, Zeus, excuse me, what he's talking about, all I'm saying is he conflated. That's it. It's just a misunderstanding. It's not something that I misspoke about or he misspoke about. I think it's something that he misunderstood or he's got a willful, blindness.
Okay, but you said
going
slavery,
on.
you said slavery is canceled. All right. And you just shouldn't say those things. That's what Val is trying to help you understand. 'Cause
Today-
that would be inaccurate. That's
Zeus,
inaccurate.
today. It's accurate. Today, let me explain.
So
Today.
that's where Val said to show us in the Constitution.
It's not in the Constitution that it's canceled. It's in the
Oh.
Constitution
Oh, shocking!
that exists. I didn't say that. You said I said that. You misinterpreted what I said.
No, sir. I didn't misinterpret. You
gross
said read the
interpreted what I said.
Constitution. As you're talking to a constitutional.
On what issue?
I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Where is it?
On what issue?
So
Val?
Cosmo, I think I get it. Are you saying slavery is canceled, but it's not canceled in the Constitution? Is that what
No,
you're
what
saying?
I'm saying to you is that there are parts of the Constitution that talk about prisoners and prisoners being enslaved.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that the Constitution cancels.
What part of the Constitution
slavery.
talks about prisoners being enslaved?
There's an amendment in it, and I have to get you the amendment. But
Please do.
Okay, I'll
And
let me
I
go
don't
find it.
mind Cosmo helping. 'Cause
I'll go get it for you.
If this helps you, Cosmo, become a better person, then this conversation, in my opinion, might just be worth it because you got to stop. All right. So yes, thank
Stop
you, Val.
what?
W Val, because Val, that was awesome. You got to
Val,
slow
no.
these people down when they're talking this way because this is how we're going to get to the bottom of whatever it is. All right.
All I'm going to do is teach you what the Constitution says about prisoners and slavery.
No, we can understand it. We just want to know what you're
That's all
saying and
so
where
you
you're
want me to
getting at.
teach you that?
Where I just want to know what you're saying and where you're getting the information from, so that I can be as wise as you.
Yeah, so let me go pull. If you want me to give you a lesson on the Constitution, let me go pull it up and I'll bring it to you.
Okay, all right.
Just hang on
And
one
I
second.
have a couple of I have somebody else up here. I know they're really good at the Constitution. Yeah. I got it.
Oh, there's two of us that might be really good. Yeah.
Yeah. These are some. Ladies and gentlemen, bear with me for a second. All right, we're having a what I call a productive DEI moment on my show.
You triple whammed him. Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah. Hi Shay.
Wow.
And
Two constitutional guys and a history professor.
yeah,
This ought
because
to be good.
I want to be educated.
Amendment.
Hi, Nutty and Shay. And
Yes.
Val. I want to be educated and know how slavery was canceled, so that I can go get a T-shirt.
I did not
and-
say it was
and-
canceled.
And write it on
Said
my
it-
shirt and walk around in red parts of California.
Where in the 13th, so tell me in the 13th Amendment, sir, where the word prisoners exists, please.
All right, go to the 13th Amendment, okay?
I was already there before you got there, sir. I knew where you were going to try to go. Tell me in the 13th Amendment where the word prisoners exist, please.
Tell me in the Constitution where that word exists.
Okay, and hi, Nutty. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Thank you for coming up here on such a short notice. Shay, you're doing okay too? I love it. Cosmo, you're okay still, right?
I'm doing great, Zeus. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just taking Shay.
I'm off the treadmill, so I'm a little huffy. But
okay, I get it. Well, we're getting to the bottom of whether or not prisoners are in the Constitution.
Slavery is in the Constitution.
Where is the word prisoner in the Constitution?
Slavery, I just said.
Oh. No, I heard what you said, Cosmo. I heard what you said, but based on the words that you said previously, I'm asking you, where in the Constitution is the word prisoner at all?
Prisoner is not in the Constitution. Slavery is.
Okay. So can you please go back and correct your statement then? Because
no.
Well, Cosmo, are we gonna speak to each other to learn, or are we gonna speak to just say I'm right, you're wrong? Because when I'm speaking to you, I'm coming with straight facts. I'm gonna come with Val has already the 13th Amendment pulled up. We're gonna come.
What does that mean? You got to pull it up. What does that mean?
We're gonna be contextualists. All right. We're gonna tell you exactly what the Constitution states.
It talks about slavery, and what I was saying to Val, if you could listen for a second, what I was saying to Val was he conflated slavery and prisoners and wages of prisoners. He said prisoners are paid low wages. That's true. That's permissible under the Constitution. Slavery is in the Constitution in the 13th Amendment.
Tell me where.
Look at the 13th Amendment and look at the slavery
Amendment
section.
Mentions nothing about prisoners.
But Val, hold on.
Slavery.
Because before I came up, Cosmo said, he asked Zeus, he said, do you want me to go get it and I'll teach you all a lesson in the Constitution? Zeus said yes. You said yes. I'm waiting to be taught. I want to be taught. So I'm here to learn, Cosmo.
He said to me,
my hands are here, so I'm not suppressing free speech, Cosmo.
No, hold on. Let's talk about what the 13th Amendment really did, okay? Because there's a lot of people like me, and I'm sure like Nutty, and I'm sure like Shay, know how people can subvert and use the 13th Amendment to actually create. Hold on, sir. To actually create slavery.
Okay.
And sir, I'm going to read this word: neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime wherefore the party shall have been duly convicted. See, sir, this is the
prisoner. That's called the conviction has analogies to a prisoner.
Cosmo, can he at least finish his point? Because
this guy's.
This is the workaround, sir. This is the workaround that we're talking about, because you now created a country that has prisons that are privately owned and for profit. When you have
12% of the prisoners are privately owned.
When you have for-profit prisons, they can use those people for labor, and they can use them to do things that most of us would actually consider involuntary servitude.
The Constitution allows that, doesn't it? You just read it.
But
Cosmo, are you not?
You just don't like it. You just don't like it.
Cosmo, you said Cosmo. This whole thing began.
Someone was detected at your front door.
Oh no! This whole thing began.
Ice.
Hold on. This whole thing began by you saying slavery doesn't exist anymore.
I do say that. I say that slavery doesn't exist. What you're trying to say is there's a modern. But you're trying to say, yes, I say it's canceled. What he's trying to say is slavery does exist and we should dwell on it every day.
No. What he's pointing out to you is your narrative that it doesn't exist has been disproven, because that statement is not true. And you would know that if you were to have entered some sort of, do you have any background with logic? You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
like give me an example.
But engineering?
Yeah, yeah. So you understand how statements work, and they could be true and false and stuff like that, right? So what Val is illustrating in a scientific way is that your statement about slavery being canceled is false. All right,
You can make an argument both
and
ways.
he's citing the 13th Amendment. So
He's wrong.
it would mean a lot to us if you don't go around TikTok saying that. All right.
I'm going to go around TikTok saying that the 13th Amendment
No, saying
mentions
slavery is canceled. You can't say that.
slavery is canceled. It doesn't exist today.
Okay. All right. So you're ignoring what Val
So
just said.
Zeus, here's
exists.
the root cause. Here's the root cause of the problem with Cosmo.
The history exists.
He doesn't want to learn. Either he doesn't want to learn, or he's having a very hard time comprehending what's being said.
That part.
I have a hard time.
If he has a hard time, Cosmo, I have not interrupted you. Please stop.
I've been interrupted ever since I started talking.
I have not interrupted you, Cosmo. So I'm turning over a new leaf here.
Thank you, Nutty, because you're being very nice. A lot of you are.
I'm trying, but he's working my nerves.
Yeah, I get it.
So
maybe you're working mine.
He's obviously not comprehending what's being said, or he's being willfully obtuse about the things that's being said because he knows the truth. He just will not accept the truth. Yep. So, Cosmo, you know we run a free live on Sundays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Fair enough.
Constitution 101 classes in session. It would behoove you to come sit in that class.
Antifa. Val,
and just
let me just tell you something about Antifa, first of all. Antifa.
Please tell me something about myself.
What does the president of the United States say about Antifa?
I don't care what that moron says about Antifa.
Exactly. We don't care.
It's emotional. Tell me what he says about Antifa.
I don't care because
it doesn't
exist. Shay, you have an echo. Shay,
ideology.
Shay, you have an echo. So Cosmo, here's the deal. We're not going to pivot. But here's Cosmo, hold on. At the end of the day, I don't care about anything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth because Donald Trump is an habitual liar. He is a narcissist. He is a liar, Cosmo.
He's your president.
I don't care if he holds the seat of the president. He is a liar.
Accept it. He's your president.
Cosmo, that doesn't.
He's not my president.
Yes.
He's your daddy.
Cosmo.
And
you're on your knees. You are on your knees sucking his hot dog.
And he's going to handle.
He is your daddy. He is your daddy.
Hold on.
Listen, every single person in this country should be Antifa. Because the people who stormed the beach in Normandy, they literally fought so I can be Antifa. You should be Antifa. It's anti-fascist.
Bad move right now.
You should be anti-fascist, Cosmo.
Try that under Obama.
Hold on.
Maybe
you should be anti-fascist.
Hold on. Let's bring it down because Big Zeus got to, keep things on the rails. Cosmo, don't do that. All right. These people are being very respectful, and they know that, contrary to a lot of people, they're saying we're wasting our time with you, Cosmo. We should send them straight to hell. We're really seriously trying to actually connect with you.
That's what I'm doing.
There's no connection here, and the reason is very
13th
simple.
Amendment, Val.
Very.
I want to hear what Val is saying real quick.
He's actually already lost the argument on the 13th Amendment, and he wants to move forward. And he wants to move forward. He wants to move forward by changing the subject.
Correct.
This is a common practice amongst people that do not like what they're hearing.
Let's read about slavery.
He does not understand what indentured servitude actually means. Okay, he does not comprehend that was a workaround to continue the practice.
Paraphrasing, sir.
Okay, and that is what he does not get.
We all
people like
understand.
him, do not care what I'm saying, what other people think. He believes that everybody should believe as he does, as he has just proven by what he did with all the Trump statements. Trump's your daddy, Trump's your president, Trump's your stuff. Sir, here, let's talk about another amendment in the Constitution, and that would be the First Amendment.
Oh,
sir.
The First Amendment gives me the
He will
right.
go after Val.
Yeah,
Cosmo.
the First
just
Amendment.
calm down and control the demon.
Yeah, gives me the right as a United States citizen or somebody in this country to speak about that man however I damn well please without retribution. So that is, sir, what you do not understand. And the fact that you don't understand that the founding fathers put the First Amendment in place as the First Amendment for the people of this country to be able to hold power accountable, period.
Yeah.
Okay, now let me unpack
Thank
that.
you. Val. Hold on, Cosmo. You gotta let Val. Let's hold on to that.
All right.
Now, Cosmo, how old are you?
49 and a half.
Huh?
49 and a half.
Somehow think a lot of things are a half with him.
All right, what were you gonna say, Cosmo? This is
Like some people are half a man, right? Like that.
I can hear you, Shay.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal with his First Amendment BS. He's talking about freedom of speech, right? He's talking about that. He thinks that.
Actually not, sir. Freedom of speech is part of it, but I'm actually talking about my capability to regress the government.
Did you just interrupt me?
I absolutely did, as you did me several times.
All right, so we're going to interrupt each other? So
No. We're going to try to navigate this and get this show over with because this is this is on another level once again. It's always interesting to get to this point on a show, but go ahead, Cosmo, please.
Okay. So
no crying, though. Just get it out.
Okay, so my interpretation of what Val is saying is, regarding the First Amendment, is he feels that Trump is taking away the First Amendment right to freedom of speech, right? And he's using the example, the Jimmy Kimmel example, right? He's using that. He thinks that Kimmel...
Did anybody not hear me say regress the government?
Yeah, I heard you say regress.
Okay, so your point is that the scenario with Kimmel was a regressive move, right?
Absolutely. He went after somebody's freedom of speech to speak about the government, which is referred to in the First Amendment, sir, because you obviously haven't read the whole thing. You got stuck on freedom of speech and forgot there's two other phrases after that.
Well, you don't conflate phrases or elements in a statute, do you? Or amendments, right? You take them one by one, right? You don't conflate those motherfuckers, right?
Wait, cut your cursing. Can't curse. But to the audience, please stop making jokes about Cosmo's age and him being 49 and a half, all right? I see the jokes, and I'm trying to be serious, all right?
39 and 1/16. Yeah. Anyway, yes, the First Amendment issue, the deal with that is he's thinking it's being taken away, right? It's being forced. Trump did this, Trump did that. Is there any evidence that Trump picked up a phone and made a call to somebody and said, hey, you must do this? No. That's number one. Number two.
Hold on, stop.
ABC, a corporation.
Sir, who controls the FCC, please?
Chairman.
What part of government is the FCC under?
Thank you, Val.
What branch of government is it under?
Yes.
The executive branch.
Thank you. Drive through.
And who's the executive, Cosmo?
Beep beep.
President
Who's
Trump.
the executive? And so when Donald Trump uses, hold on, Cosmo, hold on.
Let's keep calling me off, man.
Cosmo, please hold on. If Donald Trump continues using his rhetoric and saying certain people should be canceled, certain people should be fired, and then the very person who works under his administration goes and does and puts pressure on a company and does exactly that, is that not a violation of free speech?
Under the circumstances.
Because I know where you're going with that, because you're saying Disney is a private company. Disney is a private company.
Yes.
I already heard you say that. But because the FCC chair says something about it, and he works for Donald Trump, because the FCC chair is the government, Cosmo.
Well, here's what happened. If we
Cosmo, I need you to acknowledge what I'm saying.
I'm acknowledging that HC is a company, yes, and he had some monologue that is written for him. That's not him exercising his first right.
Cosmo, is the FCC the government? Is the FCC the government?
Yes.
So how do you not just, I'm calming my blood pressure here. How do you not combine the two? That if the FCC is the government, and we saw what the chair said to get Jimmy Kimmel taken off, how can you say that wasn't a violation of Jimmy Kimmel's free speech?
Because what he's doing is monologuing. He has a written monologue.
So in a monologue, do you speak in a monologue? See, free speech can be burning the flag, Cosmo.
What I'm saying to you is he wasn't simply exercising his freedom of speech. What he was doing was articulating what writers drafted for him.
What do you call the address from the president to when they talk in Congress? What is that?
The presidential address?
Yeah. What is he reading?
What is the
By
president
himself, I mind. By himself, I mind. What is he reading?
What is the president reading?
What would it be called?
He doesn't understand. So let me help you.
It would be called a monologue, sir.
Teleprompter.
Yeah.
Reading a speech on the teleprompter.
You mean the one that was unplugged when he was speaking the other day?
But it makes no sense because it makes no sense what he's saying. This is why we say you're in a cult, because when we point things out to you, you still deflect and you defend.
Listen to what you're saying. Listen
Go
to
ahead,
you
Shay.
seriously.
Hold on, Shay hasn't been speaking. I gotta be a gentleman up here, gentlemen. We gotta let Shay say something. All right, this can't just be a bunch of this can't be a meat show, right?
Yeah, boys, what's up? Come on now, y'all know better.
Put it away.
But no, I mean, listen, when you first got up here, Cosmo, you literally said that slavery's been abolished. Look at the Constitution. That's what you said out of your mouth.
You weren't here for all of it. What I said.
Yes, I listened to your entire
put it away.
conversation, Cosmo. And
here's what I said.
I'm sitting here working out, and I'm listening to you, and then I'm listening to you trying to backtrack it, and then you say, "Oh, well, the prisoners in the Constitution." Which it's not, and that's when all three of us got pulled up because you got caught. And stop interrupting me. What do you have, Tourette's? Stop.
It is prisoners.
Tourette's. I'm not done.
Go ahead, Shay.
I am simply stating exactly what you did.
Thank you.
And what you're doing constantly up here is you say one thing out of one side of your mouth. Stop it. Control yourself, child, please. Hello, I was a history teacher. Do I really need to pull out my teacher voice on you, Cosmo, or can you control yourself? Go take your ADHD meds if you need to.
Yeah, spam the chat, Cosmo, but let Shay say what she needs to say.
That's the thing, is that you need to understand that I've watched you say something and then you say something else, and that's all you're doing. You're contradicting yourself or trying to make us contradict ourselves, which we're not. We're actually very good listeners. Right? Because we're all teachers. And so we're very good listeners up here. Mm-hmm. And yes, I'm very handsome. Yes, of course.
You're beautiful though.
All three of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And but that's what you started to do. Mm-hmm. And then now you're trying to do the same thing with the First Amendment. Right?
All right. So let's go back to the First Amendment.
I'm not done. Thank you.
Okay.
Now you're trying to do the same thing with the First Amendment.
I can't even bear
You're
listening.
now made it really clear when he said regress. He made it very clear. You can't listen when you talk at the same time. Did nobody teach you that?
Yeah.
I need to call your mom. Give me your number. DM me. Seriously, it's like dealing with a toddler up here. Yeah. So then you said, Val said regress, which I don't know if you understand the terms of that. So within the First Amendment, there you have the freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion. You also have the freedom to regress the government. So not only is he violating Jimmy Kimmel and many of our First Amendment rights by now saying any of us that might say we're Antifa because we're anti-fascist, we can be labeled as a terrorist group. We can be labeled for saying anything against the government now. This is a very dangerous ground that's come out. It's very dangerous because now they can interpret any sort of way to go after our free speech. If we make fun of Trump, we stand up to Trump, we call him a fascist, we do anything like that, which is our First Amendment to regress our government. And if he labels us an anti-fascist, i.e. schmerist organization, we can be arrested. That's what we've entered into.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, finally. Jesus
Thank you,
Christ.
W. Shay.
So on that note, let's talk about the letter that Zuckerberg wrote regarding the
No,
pressure that he had
Cosmo.
from
We
the
already did this
administration.
with you. So Cosmo, here's what I'm learning about you.
The same thing.
Now, here's what we're learning about you, and a lot of people probably already knew it, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt because I like to come to my own conclusions about things instead of just being kind of, gaslit. And so I'm listening to you, and every every exit you've tried to run for, we've blocked it off, and you're still in the
I wish that
circus.
was true, Zeus. I wish that was
You're
true.
still in the circus. All right.
I wish that was true.
There's no one in here, Cosmo, that actually believes what you're saying. All right.
Zeus, there's
So
77 million people agree with what I'm saying.
no, I'm gonna be honest with you. These people,
Maybe,
Cosmo,
maybe
they
85
voted
million.
one way doesn't mean they think all the same. You're
Yeah.
not that dumb.
Guys,
Serious.
that's exactly what it means.
No, it isn't, Cosmo.
Yeah.
Unless you
Hold
all
on a
say
second.
77 million are in a cult. Is that what you're admitting to?
No, that's what you're saying.
Hold on.
No,
Hey,
that's what you just said. That you all 77 million of you think exactly the same thing. That is a cult.
I didn't use the word exactly. You're putting words into my mouth.
hold on a second.
We all think the same thing. 77 million all think the same thing.
Let's debunk that real quick if
Jesus
we can.
Christ, you're speaking English.
Yeah, let's debunk that in a quicker way if we can. Sir, in 2024, 77 at the end of at the election in 2024, 77 million people might have agreed with you. But as far as 2 months ago in Florida, in an area that was plus 18 for Donald Trump and lost it by minus 20, almost a 40-point swing in that state. You're losing people, sir. Sorry.
W Val. So Cosmo. So Cosmo, this is exhausting letting off on you like this, all right? And I don't want to cast my pearls before swine, and we don't want to cast our pearls before swine, all right? And again, I'm hoping you've taken something from this discussion and actually use it to become a better person. As you can see, a lot of us, we don't support MAGA, but you see how we've been very civilized and respectful during this discussion to you? You see how that's worked? And what that proves is that the Democrats aren't like what Donald Trump is saying we are. You get what I'm saying? So
Listen,
you should
you
be
need
very,
to
very cautious
realistic.
about listening to Donald Trump, all right? And stop letting him gaslight you the way that he's done. You're still in the circus, and it's sad
As
to
an
see you're still in the
adults,
circus. Huh?
adults control their actions, not Donald Trump.
Right, but you're allowing Donald Trump to manipulate you still, and it's
I just believe I believe what he believes. It's that simple.
It's that simple. It's unfortunate.
I believe what he believes. The man is a legend.
Let me ask you a question,
He's
Cosmo.
lied over 40,000 times. Do you believe all the 40,000 lies?
Let's go calculate all the lies that you
Hold on, Cosmo. I want to ask you this. Did you hear Cosmo? He's imposing a 50% tariff on kitchen cabinets, bathrooms, vanities, and associated products starting October 1st. Tariffs on upholstered furniture. The reason for this is the large-scale flooding of these products into the United States. All right. And then he says, in order to protect our great heavy truck manufacturers from unfair outside competition, I will be imposing, as of October 1st, a 25% tariff on all heavy, big trucks made in other parts of the world.
Zeus, what that is the appetizer of his negotiations.
Let's talk about the 100% tariff on prescription medicines.
Cosmo,
Let's talk about tariffs. Period.
Cosmo, who pays the tariffs?
Indirectly, trickle down, the consumer pays it.
Just simply say it. Use one word or two words.
Eventually, the consumer pays for it.
So say it. We do.
We do pay for it, yes.
Thank you.
And by design, so you know, tariffs are over 200 years old, and they have been actively utilized.
Sir, what's the American people having to pay the government for products they purchase over and above the taxes we already pay?
They don't have to buy those products.
What's the name for that, Cosmo?
They don't have to buy those
products.
What's
the name for that?
They don't have to buy those products.
What's the name? Sir, people have to buy their prescriptions, sir. People have to get their medicines. They have no choice. Now, again, what is that called?
What is prescription drugs called?
No. What is it called when you put a charge on the American people.
Tax.
Without what?
Starts with the R?
I'm not going to get into that. I'm not even going to get into that.
No, it is definitely taxes without representation.
No, it's
Period.
not.
End of story.
W
Not
Val.
I don't think you know what that means.
So,
I think Val knows what that means. He's creating
okay,
definition.
Cosmo, let me ask you it this way. You recognize, you
Create
just said,
definition.
Cosmo, you just said we do in terms of who pays the tariffs. Let me ask you an honest question. Did you
Before
ever,
Trump, you paid tariffs.
do you ever recall agreeing to doing that?
Yes, I do. I understood.
What day did you agree to be taxed on kitchen cabinets and toilets and all the kinds of products coming
out of the womb? I understood taxes.
What day did you sign off on? What day did you sign off saying I agree to be taxed above and beyond what I'm already being taxed? What day did you do that on? And don't say when I voted for Trump. Don't say nothing like that.
I accept it as a business owner since day one.
Okay, so you agree to be taxed without. You agree on taxation without representation.
Are you going to be affected by this as a business owner?
I think we have taxation with representation.
No, and then and then you actually were crying about Joe Biden when the grocery prices were high. So I know you didn't do that. You didn't agree with this.
No, I wasn't crying. What I was trying to tell you was that his inflation was as high as 9. I was trying to tell you that
because
Trump's fiscal doesn't start till the 1st, right?
Because of both administrations, Cosmo, loading up all the money in the stimulus checks. That's why.
And this
wasn't all on Biden.
I got to give it to you. You're doing as much as you can to defend your dear leader.
Thank you.
But Big Zeus has to get up out of here. All right, Cosmo?
I
appreciate you getting up here and trying to fight for your life for your dear leader. But unfortunately, the outcome is what it is.
Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, does Cosmo deserve a round of the Lake of Fire? Yes or no? Please let me know, because he was somewhat reasonable, but I'm going to let the audience decide. Cosmo, if I get over 100 yeses, if I get 100 yeses, Cosmo,
Val, I really like to talk to you.
Yeah, willful ignorance. Always deserves a leg.
All right, well, listen, Cosmo.
To say that slavery is in the 13th
You
Amendment.
can follow Val. Val hosts his own lives, Cosmo, and I think you and him can get to the bottom of that. But in the meantime, people have spoken.
in the 13th Amendment, dumbass.
Cosmo.
The 13th Amendment talks about slavery.
Cosmo, do better, bro. All right, and stop defending Donald Trump when you know he's wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, Cosmo has gone straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
W to the panelists. W to all of you in the audience who endured. All right, that was crazy stuff we just went through. And you get what brought them up here. It was the conversation about white supremacy. Get that, Mr. Yeah, 49 and a half in the audience. All right, y'all made me laugh. Closing remarks, because I got to get up out here. I'm 42 minutes late. Jesus Christ.
I'll close with this. The lady that was speaking on white supremacy and it being taught like that is true. That's how I was raised. And the idea of using the Bible and white skin supremacy, that Jesus was white, therefore white people are more superior. And so, yes, everything she said about that is absolutely correct. And that's what's being taught. That's what you saw at the Kirk Memorial. And I'm glad that you played that, because I think people need to understand that those of us that were raised in that and broke out of that theology and ideology can see it, and it just reaches up inside our spine. But for those that don't understand it and don't know how to decipher it, they're just thinking, oh, yes, Jesus is great, And but that's what happens when we get a mixture of theology and government. And that is called Christian nationalism. Yep. And that's what's going on here, guys. And that's why they talk about replacement theory and all of that. So that's just why you've seen the alt-right coming out and speaking like they do. But anyway, love you guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you for coming up. All right, Nutty.
So I'm going to keep my comments short on Cosmo, because like yourself, Zeus, Dr. Keisha, she means business when she tells us things that we need to change. And why consult a doctor if you're not going to listen to the doctor, right? Yeah. So shout out to W's in the chat for Dr. Keisha. So I'm keeping my blood pressure down. So what was just displayed there, was willful ignorance and being willfully obtuse.
Yeah.
Because Cosmo, one thing Cosmo is not, he's no dummy in the sense that he doesn't understand what was being said. He's the dummy because he can't bring himself to say, you know what, I see what you're saying and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
He cannot, a true character of a man, Cosmo, let me teach you how to be a man at the ripe age of 49 and a half. The true character of being a man is to be able to course correct, to be corrected, to say, you know what, my bad, I was wrong. I'm going to learn from that. Men continue to grow until the day we close our eyes. We continue to grow. I have had my hand slapped so many times on this app, it's not funny. When you are seated in the seat of correction, it is uncomfortable. We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. It is uncomfortable. But that is growth. Yeah. That's the character of a true man, Cosmo.
True.
When you can be corrected, learn from it, course correct, and be better for it.
You hear
I'm
that?
done. Thank you
Amen.
for letting me up.
Nutty. Wow, Nutty. I mean, Nutty's on to something right now. Maybe some of the Zeus is rubbing off on Nutty. I got to give it to you, bro. Yes, Val.
Val, excuse me for a second. Make no mistake about it. Nutty is looking out for his own health. Zeus is not rubbing off on me.
Oh. That's what I knew. Yeah, Nutty. Watch where you go. Watch it. Watch it. Thank you.
Let's, you know what I'm saying, let's get a couple things straight real quick about the Constitution. People need to understand that 3/5 of a person and being able to work you when you are locked up were both concessions to the South. Understand what the word concession means when you talk about the Constitution.
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be the second thing. And then the very last thing that I want to talk about, and I really just want to ask the audience to put it in the chat, you know, if they don't mind. Hey, everybody down there, tell me what's not in the Bible.
Donald Trump? I don't know.
White people.
Oh!
That was awesome, Val.
You know, I get into trouble because a lot of people, they don't like it when stuff like that is shared on my platform, Val. But could you explain why that was important to say to them? Because they get in their feelings when you say that. They really do. And I didn't know this was a big deal like it is now, but it is for some strange reason.
It's true. People never, you know, it's the people that have never read it, right? You know, skin of bronze, hair of wool. You know, they've never read it. They don't understand where the Bible was created, where the story came from, and the people of that country. Hey, they weren't white.
But Val, don't you understand that you are offending people when you say that?
No, I'm not offending anybody. I'm speaking of historical fact.
Yeah.
It's hateful speech. Because
if you want to take it that way, I guess, you know, that's your right to be able to say that. Now, does that make it true? No. It's a historical fact.
Got it. So what would our advice be to the folks who continue to get offended when you call out these kind of things that are factual? What would our advice be?
You may want to go back and read. Okay. You know, the same people that don't understand what Matthew 4:1-11 was all about. Oh. You know, the same people have never read Exodus completely. You know, these people take and cherry pick little bitty parts of the Bible to try to fit their narrative. You know, the same people that believe that the Bible mentions AB. Other than a fact of how to get rid of a child, it does not. You know, they forget the fact that it was God that said, I can bless you and I can take it away.
Ooh, go ahead, man. That's it. Well, listen, you all, that was amazing work we did today. We put in a solid round this morning, and it went way further than I expected it. But I appreciate all of you. All right, so again, ladies and gentlemen, let's give the panelists another huge round of applause. I can't get all of you to come up here. I wish I could, but I have things to do. All right. All right.
Well, thanks for letting me up, Zeus. You have a good day, buddy.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. And Mr. Crossing, I'll get to you next time. All right. Just kidding. Thank you, everyone. Seriously, I'm so sorry to have kept you all past 8 a.m. It probably won't happen again. All right, it'll be like that, going forward, at least on Thursdays and Fridays. All right, but I want to give each and every single one of you in the audience a huge round of applause, because honestly, without you, shows like this would not be possible. We do deal with difficult people. We talk about difficult things, and it's very, very frustrating. But at the end of the day, we always arrive at in a positive space, all right? Because we understand that while Cosmo, he didn't learn anything about that, there were other people who may never have listened to this conversation, or this probably was on their mind in one way or another. They were able to walk away and see that there are very, very civilized ways that you can actually go about addressing some very, very difficult conversations and stuff like that topic. So again, thank you to all my subscribers, gifters, moderators, and panelists, because without you, honestly, the show wouldn't be what it is: entertaining, educational, and definitely engaging. But I also got to give one last round of booze and shame. And this goes out to all the Zeus haters out there. You see them yesterday, every live that I go in on the right, because they don't come on my show. I have to go to their shows, and I have to plant my flag. And when I plant my flag, I'm really doing that because I understand maybe I don't get to hear from all of you on this show, but when we go to battle out there, I get to hear from all of you wonderful people that send those requests, and you go up there and you let these MAGA demons understand that they are wrong. They're on the wrong side of history, and that hell will be their portion. All right. And so I want to give my Zeus haters out there one last round of, you've guessed it, booze and shame. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care, stay safe. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. See you next week. California. Shout out to Gavin Newsom. I saw what you did this week, brother. Getting out there and trailing. What is that word? Trolling Donald Trump.
That's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track hits your eardrum like a slug to your chest. Got the best for your Jimmy in the city of sex. We in that sunshine state where the bomb and sin be. The state where you never find a dance floor empty and pimp speed. On a mission for them greens. Money making machines serving fiends. Ever since Honeys was spelling Sassoon, now it's 95 and they rock me and watch me diamond shining. Looking like a Liberace.
Thank you. That's mighty kind of you, Bounce, all right, considering what you've been doing. W-R-VIP. Thank you.
Long Beach in the house. Yeah.
Y'all have a great rest of your morning. All right.
Frisco, Frisco. Ain't nothing up in here. Pasadena, where you at? Yeah, Inglewood, always up to no good. Even Hollywood trying to get a piece, baby. Sacramento, where you at?
Thank you. I can't see ya. All right. Take care, ladies and gentlemen. We are out of here.